o'clock.
Blog Talk Radio.
That is the sound of a great podcast, and you're about to get the buzz behind the buzz with DryerBuzz.com. I am so excited to be coming to you tonight. Of course, it's Thursday, new episode of Scandal. But before that, there is a scandal brewing not just in Atlanta, as you've heard, but contrary to popular belief, this is something that's happening all over the country. We're going to get inside of it tonight on this debate. So I don't want you to miss it a minute of the buzz. I need you to go right now to DryerBuzz.com. Shout out to all of you that are already following and listening on Twitter. And, of course, those of you that I'm going to be chatting with in just a second over on Facebook. And then, of course, thanks to all the chat rooms that are hosting the podcast tonight. We have got some buzz. We got beyond the buzz. Beyond the buzz. But first, as you know, today is April the 4th. It's a very special day. I want you to tell me what it is when we come back. For those of you that want to listen on the phones, tell your friends. The phone number is area code 646-652-2642. You can listen on your phone. If you have a comment or a question, I think you just press 1, and it brings you right into the queue, and we'll come to you. Because tonight it's a very serious topic, and it's about the Atlanta cheating scandal. And, again, like I said, it's not just Atlanta. Tonight we want to talk about advocating for our kids, and I mean not just our own kids as some of us are doing right now. I'm talking about advocating for our children, our future, our neighborhoods, our communities, and even becoming allies for the teachers. We talked about that before, how to become an ally for the teacher. I mean, it gets deep. It gets deep as to what we're going to get into tonight. But I know everything that you've heard on the news. I know everything that you've read in the newspaper. But there's a different side to this story that we might just be overlooking, and that is the children. This is where you get the buzz behind the buzz. You're listening to DryerBuzz and Company. We'll be right back for a great debate. Spread the buzz.
Are you a Buzz Club member? With DryerBuzz.com, syndication comes with Buzz. Insert your business news in our daily buzz to take advantage of instant, repeat, and ongoing traffic. As a Buzz Club member, become consumers' choice, keeping your brand and news in front of our daily readers and live real-time audience. Be seen, heard, and get found more often as we continue to drive traffic to your business, service, and products. Membership comes with Buzz. Join today. Visit DryerBuzz.com.
Gentlemen and ladies, debate is combat, but your weapons are words.
Debate is blood sport. You must destroy your opponent, not only verbally, but physically. I am here to help you to find and keep your righteous mind.
This debate is stirring up a lot of excitement. It's going to be broadcast all over America.
Bringing to you live tonight's history-making debate. Well, now, Mr. and Mrs. Evans, this is a good report. All C's and an A&R. Young James is doing well.
Yeah, but old James want to know how he did it.
Our son is going to be facing a tough world pretty soon, and we want to make sure he has a real education. We don't want him pushed through high school like he was going through a 3-minute car wash and coming out still wet behind his ears.
Mr. and Mrs. Evans, I appreciate how you feel about your son's education, but you see, we lack the facilities and the money that schools in more privileged areas have. This has been happening in all the cities in the United States. You do understand that, huh?
Oh, yeah. We understand the lack of money real good.
Well, that's good. Perhaps you could understand this. I have thousands of students in this school and a graduating class of over 600. Now, if I don't graduate a large percentage of that group, I wind up looking like I'm not doing too good a job. You dig?
Better than that. We understand.
Well, now, if I don't graduate a high percentage, our budget is cut. And if our budget is cut, our teaching staff suffers. And if our teachers suffer, students' education suffers.
Mr. Kirkman, that is exactly what we came here to talk to you about.
Certainly did. I see we're in total agreement. It's
Total agreement, my foot, man. We're in total confusion.
Sir, you have to understand the system. One hand washes the other. You have to help us move the pupils along. And I'll help you by giving your son a diploma. With that diploma, help him get a job.
A job? What the hell good is a job? Man, I got a job. I got 2 jobs. Hell, I had jobs all my life. But I want something more for my son. I want him to have an opportunity. And you and I both know that opportunities only come through an education.
Either James Evans Jr. gets a good education, or we gonna know why.
That's right.
But folks, the system.
Hey, Mr. Kirkman, please don't make me tell you what you can do with your system.
All right, I hate to give you an episode of Good Times, but I am waiting for us to get to the day where the episode of Good Times is no longer relevant. How is it that episode rings true in Atlanta today? Now, like I said, I know you guys have heard the buzz in the newspapers and in the news reports, and everybody's telling you how our superintendent and a legion of teachers and administrative staff and faculty were paraded this week into the Fulton County Jail to bond out. I mean, the story is insane, and it's not just happening in Atlanta. Right now, the focus is on Atlanta because, you know, apparently Atlanta has all this attention, but it's happening all over the country. And it's amazing that we are experiencing something in Atlanta today that was on television in the 70s. And so you got to ask yourself, are we regressing? What happens today when a parent goes into the school system and say, hey, look, you know, I don't think my child deserves these marks that they received, and that parent then becomes the whistleblower to a case. But what we want to talk about is not necessarily the case. We can't advocate for these people. We got to wait until the situation fully makes it into the courtrooms before we really find out what's going on. Everybody's put a gag order on this thing. The DA's office is not talking. There's a lot of stuff out there, but what I want to talk about tonight, and this is the scandal before scandal, is how do we as parents begin to advocate for our kids? And, of course, I got a great debate team coming to you tonight. Gerald E. Rose is going to jump on here with us. He knows what it is to stand with a parent, to help a parent advocate for their child, not only in the education systems, but when it comes down to justice. We're waiting for him to call in. I've got Stogie Kenyatta that's going to be calling in from the West Coast, and he is an actor. It does a great stage production of the life. You guys who follow me, you know that I fell in love with this production that he does on Paul Robeson. We are trying to get our kids to value education today. Paul Robeson's parents' father was an escaped slave and went on to educate his son to the heights that we still can't reach in this country when you talk about the potential and the places that Paul Robeson went in his career. And we've got young men today who are falling in love with characters like Django. The D is silent. And my next guest is going to laugh. He's probably already laughing at that. But Django, we got a young people grabbing on to Django, thinking that that's their history, and overlooking doors that have already been opened. They're knocking on doors that have already been broken, as I like to say, ceilings that have already been broken with Paul Robeson and many, many others. And so as the fellas jump on the line now, of course, my guest on the line with me right now, I actually just left. Those of you that follow us on Twitter, I told you I was going to try to stop by the King Center because today is April 4th. It is the day that Dr. King was assassinated. And so we're living with that. Our young people are living with that. Think about the fact that every generation of African Americans, not even African Americans, but every generation of youth have to deal with that from several different perspectives. African American youth have to deal with it because Dr. King looked like them. Other kids have to deal with that because it is something that happened in our country that we really, truly don't have the answers for. We celebrate Dr. King's birth. We mark the anniversary of his death. We call it an assassination, but has America truly dealt with it? And then our kids are dealing with a sense of violence. If you look at how Dr. King died and how our kids are dealing with this sense of violence in their neighborhoods today that a lot of parents don't know about, don't realize, where are we? Where are we going with this? And some of us are really working to do something about it. So I have one. The D is silent. Coleon on the phone with us. I saw him tonight at the King Center, and I said, hey, I need you to jump on this call because there's something brewing in your social media streams, and it's called 50 Days Nonviolence. The King Center is asking our young people, all of us, to stop the violence for 50 days. Can we do it for 50 days in honor of Dr. King? Juan, thank you so much for jumping on the line with me.
No, thank you, Yolanda, for giving me this opportunity. I'm glad to be of service to help you in this cause because it's definitely a multifaceted problem that we're faced with now.
I know. We're dealing with the situation now. The kids what's going on in our school systems today is beyond. I know several years ago, I did a volunteer program in the school. I'm still now trying to find even the courage, I think, to go back into the school systems. And then we have something like this cheating scandal. We've already got the violence. We've got gangs. We got things going on in Atlanta that Atlanta itself doesn't want to recognize. But you have come to Atlanta. You have absolutely hooked up with the King Center. And you guys, I mean, since you've been there, we have seen more happening at the King Center. So I want to thank you for bringing the energy to Atlanta and working with them and helping them out. But tell us what's going on with the King Center and what you guys actually launched today with the 50 Days Nonviolence.
Well, the whole 50-day nonviolence initiative is just one step to address the problem. As we look at the bigger picture with APS and the cheating scandal and the pressure that's on the system for teachers to try to get students to pass, we got to look at the bigger picture because sometimes we can be distracted by what's obviously in our face. If you look at the bigger picture, you know, psychologists, one of the psychologists who was on the program this evening, Dr. Tart and different people, they do forecasting, and they can tell by a certain age, by third grade, if the children are not reading at the proper reading level. They use those statistics and studies to forecast to build jails and beds in jails. And what we're seeing from the D.C. level, something is called disproportionate minority contact. Young people, minority people, are being disproportionately targeted by police agencies because in a lot of these schools they have these programs to where if you are late for school or you get in trouble or things of that nature, they put you on lists, and these lists link back up to police departments. And a lot of times it's very vague, it's very subjective of who gets in trouble. And next thing you know, the bigger picture is they're building jails based on the dysfunction or the reading levels or the problems that we exist in our schools. So it's not just with the testing and things of that nature. If we don't address this problem immediately, what you're seeing is the cradle to prison pipeline being revealed right before us. And how that affects us overall is most people don't realize when they build these jail cells out in rural areas, a lot of times what happens is most of the people that they're locking up are the minority people. They take those minority people out to these rural jails, and in these rural jails and rural areas, these prisoners, the people are being counted as part of their votes. So when they do this redistricting, and it may be a jail out in a rural area, you know, the young people that get arrested and they send out there, even though they can't vote, they're still being counted toward the population for their rural area to vote, which ends up skewing places like Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, where it's a lot more minorities, but it seems like the states are always Republican. So in the big picture, the cheating scandal is just the tip of the iceberg. I see it as an overall strategy to push, minority kids from the cradle to prison pipeline, and we have to do something to address it. And they're using violence, the violence that happens, whether it's bullying,
whatever, these little incidents, they're using these indicators to start targeting their kids. So we have a lot of incentives to try to get our kids to refrain from violence in any form because they're being targeted.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we started out doing this 50 Days of Nonviolence that starts today on the 45th anniversary of the death of Dr. Martin Luther King and goes to the end of school year, it's just one step. But what we want to do is be able to capture their attention to shift the paradigm from this gratuitous violence and the worship that we have in our society towards this violence. We want to get them to start to begin to look at themselves and their neighbors in a more nonviolent way. So that was the thinking behind the nonviolent 50 Days of Nonviolent campaign.
Mm-hmm. And I know I challenged you on the MLK neighborhoods. It's like I would love to see something happen in the MLK neighborhood. So I'm glad to support this in any way that we can. That we're there just to even help get the word out on this. And I love the activity that's going on Twitter. And I know firsthand, I can tell you, I know firsthand how neighborhoods are targeted. I remember, and I tell people all the time, and I said this a couple times on the podcast, I remember as a little girl, our superintendent at that time, Alonzo Cram, I remember him giving a tour to a group through my elementary school. And I went to elementary school in what was then one of the most targeted zip codes for this pipeline to prison. That zip code was 30318. If you look up 30318, you wonder, like, hey, how is my girl still alive? But anyway, it wasn't as bad because we had a sense of community to combat whatever elements that they were trying to do. And it's interesting because as I look at kids that I grew up with, it seems like all of us are very entrepreneurial. But at the same time, we were so targeted in that zip code. And I remember overhearing the dialogue that they had as they went through the school, and somebody in the group saying the fact that there were so many young black men in our school, and I know for a fact I heard somebody say, wait until they graduate and see what happens. And then for me to graduate and to actually study that pipeline and to know how 30318 was targeted, and as you know, there was a study not very long ago that talked about a lot of the Georgia prisons are filled up with that zip code. The kids that came behind us and came in after the crack generation, they filled those prisons up. So we know that it's targeted. But what we want to do today is really talk to parents, because here's the issue that we find out, okay, by third grade, if a child is not at a certain level, they will not progress. If your child is not reading at a certain level in third grade, it's downhill from there. And it's very hard to get them back because a lot of times we as a community, we begin to lose them because once they lose their interest in school or something that they love, they're not, as we went through school, some of us might not have liked going, this class or that class or this and that, but you found something that you loved, and that took you on through the way. And what we're finding with children today is they don't have that. The reason I titled tonight's podcast is why aren't more parents advocating for children, or why aren't more parents blowing the whistle on failed education? When you look at this cheating scandal, there were only a couple parents that said, hey, my child is getting, they seem to have passed the test, but hey, they can't read. And they're getting a lot of slack because their children have progressed in school and still can't read. So people are thinking, well, what did you do? Well, a lot of times we know parents have some hardships and there are some issues. And there are a lot of things that are holding a couple of generations of children back. But at the same time, we've got to begin to advocate for them. And there's a case that I talk about as well. There's a case that was in Texas where we had a young mother, her daughter, ended up in the juvenile system because she had a run-in with a teacher. The child needed to take her medication. The teacher was trying to, hold her from going to the nurse. And they had a run-in. She ended up pushing the teacher. Lo and behold, next thing you know, she's in juvenile court. They sentenced her to go to the juvenile detention center. was an adult and so forth. But yet this mother decided, hey, look, no, that's injustice. That is unjust for my child to have that type of sentence. And this one mother fought for her child. We were in the early stages of blogging. We were in the early stages of doing podcasts. And if you check the history, if you go through the archives of our podcast, you'll see what we went up against. I decided to produce some shows. I'm here in Georgia, but I decided to produce some shows for the people in Texas for them to give their voice to this case. And we only had one mother step forward. When I tell you the city of Paris, Texas, went up against this mother to squash her voice in this case, it didn't work. Finally, Rick Perry, they got to Governor Rick Perry, had him look at the case, and come to find out the detention centers there were holding kids well beyond their sentencing, not to mention the fact that they were abusing these kids. They had to end up shutting down and reviewing all of these detention centers. But what I say all of that to say is there was only one mother who said, no, you can't do that to my child. And when we had that one mother, all of these kids were missing from their homes, missing from their communities, missing from their schools, and everybody was silent. But then when the governor got involved and had to let these kids out, we had all of these parents who had not, I don't know if they didn't know how to advocate or too many people just kind of go along to get along. And that's what we have. And I see Gerald has got the message, so hopefully he'll dial him because I really want to talk to him because he has several cases that he's working on with parents who do stand up. And it's not an easy thing. It's certainly not easy to go before a press conference and to really say, hey, look, something is happening to my child, because as we see in this Atlanta cheating scandal, people will forget all about people that did the wrong and go after the weakest link. And then I think the weakest link in this case is the fact that, hey, we had a mother who said, hey, look, my child can't read, but they keep progressing her in school. And so we've got to do a little bit more of that. Let me just tell everybody, if you're catching this live now, you're listening to DryerBuzz and Company. And so we are giving you the buzz behind the buzz. The scandal before scandal, and that is the cheating scandal. And so it looks like Gerald is having some phone issues, so he won't be able to dial in. But I do have Juan on, and, of course, he is working with the King Center, and, of course, this 50 days of nonviolence. And I want to know, now, are you guys taking this into the schools, or how is it actually going to play out? What are some of the things we're going to see over the next 50 days? And 50 days, you're asking people to be nonviolent. That's a challenge in and of itself.
Well, what we're doing, it's a step-by-step process. One of the first steps in Kingian nonviolence, when Dr. King did the 6 principles and 6 steps of nonviolence, the first step is information gathering. A lot of times, the reason why we have conflicts and violence in our interpersonal relationships is people don't gather the proper information about the situation. They just react. So what we're doing, we don't want to make any assumptions before we go into these different schools, because each school is different. Westlake has a different dynamic than Price Middle School, which is a different dynamic than Douglas. So what we're doing with this first 50 days is gathering information of each school and each environment and asking the kids to help us to explain their environment, the different obstacles, the different situations of violence they may occur. And then when we come back in the fall, we're going to do 103 days of nonviolence with B103 and some of our partners to create a holistic approach with the schools, where we'll be partnering schools with faith-based organizations, nonprofits, NGOs, and people in those particular areas that can address the specific needs in each particular school. But we're encouraging everybody every day. We'll be having videos, messages, and affirmations from Elder Bernice King and Dr. Martin Luther King at our Tumblr site, which is thekingcenter.tumblr.com, where every day of this first 50 days we'll be posting different messages and updates and call to actions from her. So anybody can go and get their information from there, and also you can follow the conversation via Twitter at #50daysnonviolence. And what we're trying to do, right, is start the conversation and then come behind that with direct action for the specific schools in those surrounding communities.
Right. I'm actually dropping the 50 Days Nonviolence. I'm typing that in now. And the Tumblr website, because I know a lot of the youth are, the activity that our youth today have on Tumblr. And let me just say this to parents. A lot of parents out there are saying that, they don't want their kids online. Let me just say this: put your kids online, okay? Because for every parent out there that said that they don't want their kids online, 2 minutes after your child is on the school bus, they're online. Okay, they just grabbing a friend's phone. You don't want to get your kid a cell phone. They just grabbing the kid's cell phone, logging in. They have a Facebook, they have a Twitter, they have a Tumblr, and many of them have YouTube channels. Okay, so all of that, you don't want your kids online. Put your kids online. What we need to do is to advocate for more groups like the King Center and more organizations to be out there and provide some alternative content. That's a message that I have been doing probably for the past 10 years in trying to bring organizations online. And one, I got to also thank you again for tonight, because, as you know, we have launched a series of blog workshops to work with organizations. And I ran into you. I came in there. I'm glad I stopped and talked to you. I know you was busy. Someone told me, look, go grab my brother. Go grab my man for a minute. And you took me right over to, and I need the card. Operation Hope is now a part of the King Center, and there's a cyber cafe. Shook hands tonight on a great partnership to bring blogging workshops, social media workshops to not only our youth, but to our seniors, to our businesses. Just in that few minutes, the type of partnership that we're playing, are going to finalize everything in the morning with a call, and I'm happy to say that they have, Operation Hope has secured all the spots that we have for our first blogging workshop, and it will happen. We're moving it to the Operation Hope Center on April the 16th. I felt like Oprah when I was coming out of there. You get a blog, and you get a blog, and you get a blog. I'm just so excited to bring that workshop, and it's all about collaboration. This is how it happens. When you ask somebody, can I help? Can I do something for you? It just happens. So again, let me just thank you for that.
Oh, it's definitely a pleasure to do that. You're doing a lot of things in the community, and for those who don't know, the John Hope Bryant and the Hope Foundation, they specialize in economic empowerment. They have a great program called 700 Communities, where they're trying to get people. They take you through a whole process to get your credit score up over 700. They also help people get into homes and houses. They do a lot of economic empowerment. They have offices from L.A. to D.C., and of course, they have the one here at Ebenezer across the street from the King Center in Atlanta. So definitely, John Hope Bryant, we definitely thank him for the things that he's doing and the collaborations that we'll be doing. And also, they're a part of the 50 Days of Nonviolence, because they have a great dignity program, and they have a program where they have business in a box, where they show young people and kids how to become entrepreneurs. So it's definitely a great opportunity.
Definitely great, and that's just something that we've been looking real hard trying to find a place to actually train community and how to use social media. There's a lot going on social media, and you talked about the violence and stuff in the schools. Social media has told us so much about our generation, especially our young generation. The videos that they are putting on YouTube with this violence, it's heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking, because this is such a tool to be used to move life further, and they are using it and stomping out life. I mean, really stomping out life. If you really want to know, if you want to look into these CRCTs and how our kids are reading and how our kids, like, there's a thing online called the Urban Dictionary. But if you go, and I tell people, if you go on Twitter and you put in certain zip codes, you want to know what's happening with our kids, because those of you that don't know, you can filter Twitter and social media and Facebook. I'm not sure so much about it. I know Facebook is trying to put in some tools to do that. But you can filter Twitter by zip code. You can filter Twitter by addresses. And when you put in certain zip codes and you see, I mean, these are people who can't read and they can't write, but they are trying to tweet, okay? And they're almost creating a language amongst themselves that they understand. A lot of it becomes a slang term to some of us. But see, the thing about some of us, we can move in and out of those sectors of life. We can get, I don't want to say we can intertwine with Ratchet, but we can also put Ratchet down at any time. There are some people who live in a Ratchet life, and they can't move from it. They can't move beyond it. And it's something that we have termed as something that we do as far as entertainment. But there are some people who are really caught up in this. And if you put in some of these zip codes in Twitter, and you look at some of these young people and what they're tweeting about and what they're trying, I mean, you literally have to kind of decipher this. And I don't know if everybody has heard about this, but the FBI has started a team of, we're looking for people to interpret this language that people who are illiterate, for lack of a better word, people who are literate, that are causing a lot of these violence and holding a lot of these arresting a lot of these neighborhoods. They've literally created their own language, because once you get to a point where you can't learn, you won't learn, and then you won't learn, but then you get to a point where you can't learn. And so, but they still exist. They still exist. And when you look at some of those tweets and things that are out there, when you look at some of these videos that are out there, when you look at, it's telling. There's no way to ignore it. You can keep running from it, but it's going to catch up with us. And if we don't support places like the King Center and the 50 Days Nonviolence and the initiatives they have going on, and Elder Bernice King said tonight, if I could just get you just to work with me all these 50 days, we can begin to change ourselves. One, I know you probably have to go, and I do want to thank you for jumping on here and sharing with us and just really talking about this. And like I said, anything that we can do, any space you need at DryerBuzz.com, you just let me know, and I'm there.
Oh, that's no problem. I definitely appreciate the opportunity and look forward to continue to serving you and everything you're doing and your whole partnerships with Route TV and the whole crew and Hurricane Katrina. So, whatever you need, I got you.
All right, dude. Well, we will talk, and, of course, I will be in touch. I know everybody ready to get out of here and watch Scandal. I'm going to tell you, guys, I got a few more announcements that I need to make, and then we're going to jump off here and go watch our television. But we got to think about the fact that, see, that's the kind of flexibility that most of us have in life. Well, we got some people that are really caught up right now, and we want to make sure that we lean back and give back. I think that's what we need to say. So, nice to support. Thanks a lot, Warren. Have a great night.
All right.
All right, guys, you are listening to DryerBuzz and Company, and this is where we spread the buzz. Now, I'm sorry Gerald couldn't come on. I got Gerald in the instant messenger. So what we'll do is we're going to actually go over and chat with him a bit on Facebook, because I really want you to see what he is doing in the community. And for those of you, if you're looking for somebody to help you to advocate for any situation that you have going on with young people, with your young people and your family, I definitely want to connect you guys. So we'll definitely get Gerald back on to talk about it. I know he has a case. I think there's a case just came across in Toledo, Ohio, a police brutality case. There's actually several cases that he's working on right here in Atlanta. So we really want to hear from him as it relates to this cheating scandal. I'm really feeling like our local news and some of our news things, they've been, I think, kind of jumping the gun. Everybody wants to be trending in social media. Everybody wants to get the story out first. And I'm just going to ask you guys to wait. Let's wait a little bit longer until some of these things get into the courtrooms. That's where we're really going to find out what happens. Because a lot of times, if you were to ever compare the initial news stories to the actual courtroom drama, there's some things that are different. Okay. Announcements. As you know, like I said, we have launched a series of blogging workshops. We want to teach you guys how to blog, because the biggest part of advocating for anybody is to be able to tell the story. And a lot of you know that we did, we've been blogging now we're in our 11th year at DryerBuzz.com. But even 10 years before that, we were very involved in the community, especially in community organizing. And so what I realized during that time is something that would really help the work that we were doing was for us to have a storyteller. And so traditional media was little help. Our local news was little help. And I decided, hey, look, I'm going to become that media source for organizations. So a lot of you guys see me really supporting our organizations because they are our bread of life. And so what I've decided to do was to launch an initiative to really help people really understand how blogging can change your community. It has done that for me. And I'm going to tell you, I love having the power of media at my disposal because I can bring on brothers like Juan, I can bring on brothers like Gerald, I can bring on all the great podcasts. If you look at our podcast history, especially here on even on Blog Talk Radio, we've been on Blog Talk since about 2007. And while we don't podcast every day, we do come to you with different seasons of podcasts to get you the buzz behind the buzz. So we definitely want you to go and check out the history because last year I felt like we had said it all, and then this year it feels like, hey, we haven't said it all. If we have, it's time to say it again because as more of you are closing the digital divide, here's an opportunity for us to reach you. And like I said, I stopped by the King Center tonight. There's some pictures and some video that are out there. But we were able to establish, I think, what's going to be a wonderful partnership with Operation Hope, the Cyber Cafe, the Ebenezer Church, the King Center, and that partnership that we're going to put together a number of workshops. And they said, hey, look, bring the workshop that you're doing there. So that workshop is actually going to open up to, I think we're doing about maybe 15 spaces. You'll be able to come with me on April the 16th and really learn about blogging and advocating, and maybe you want to become the next great media source. Those of you that are going to be blogging about your business, you think about how to do a digital strategy for your business. And I'm going to tell you, having a digital strategy for your business, it makes a difference. This is how you reach and establish relationships with lifetime customers. Believe you me, I got 10 years, I got more than a decade doing this, and I know that it works. And I'm taking everything that I know, and I'm giving it to you. If you keep an eye on DryerBuzz.com, I'll tell you how to apply for these wonderful spots that we now have open. Not only will you get to come to our workshop, you're going to then have lunch, and guess what? They have a workshop that you'll be able to attend, and it's going to be an awesome day. And as I said, tomorrow morning we'll have all the details at DryerBuzz.com. I got 7 minutes to get out of here and let you guys to the podcast. Now, don't forget, Second Mondays, we have a live stream that's live from Atlanta as we begin to connect boardrooms across the country. If you are looking to change the game, make sure you join us second Monday. That's April the 8th, this coming April the 8th, Monday, for our live stream on Changing the Game. And this month, we're going to be talking about dueling careers, the pursuit of profession and passion, okay? You're building your career and balancing family. You're balancing family and you have a passion. You want to be an entrepreneur, but you've got this long career. You don't want to, not sure you're ready to take that leap of faith. All of that. If you are conflicted at all as to where you are supposed to be in life and how to get there, you definitely want to watch the next stream that we have coming up. If you missed any of the Change the Game series, you can go to RootTV.com, you can go to DryerBuzz.com, you can catch it on YouTube and watch the previous streams that we have done. And they usually run an hour, so we ask you to grab your lunch, take over the boardroom in your office, grab your friends, your coworkers, grab your business partners, and meet us in the boardroom. Jump on the Google Hangout with us, and we connect you to some great experts. We have taken all the conferences that you love, all the conference topics that you love, and we've broken them down into bite-sized pieces, and each month we are going to chew on the topic, and, of course, the next topic is dueling careers, the pursuit of profession and success, and everything that entails. I mean, when I say everything, I mean everything. Great expert on the panel, Andrew Morrison. Andrew Marson, as you know, has the 16-week challenge. He creates entrepreneurs in 16 weeks. We have got Rochelle Shaw coming back. She has the $1 million equation for you to develop a $1 million business. When I tell you, I spent a few minutes with this woman, and it put me so on my grind so hard. Let me just tell y'all. And I've got her book, and I can't tell you invaluable knowledge and experiences she's sharing. We've got Didi Cachetta, one of my dearest and great friends. Online and social media and here in Atlanta. She's not in Atlanta anymore, and I miss her dearly, but she's going to be on the Google Hangout because, like I said, a lot of what we do is in telling our stories, so she's going to help us put our business stories together so that we can create some buzz. And, of course, you have myself. It'll be hosted by Katrina, and, of course, Root TV is executive producing this, and we'll be back to you on April the 8th. So mark your calendars. Pull out your calendars right now. April the 8th, Change the Game live stream. If you're in Atlanta or if you can get to Atlanta April the 16th, you can apply to attend the Business of Blogging for Business workshop that we will be having at the Operation Hope Cyber Cafe. I'm very excited to bring that there, and so great and awesome opportunity. Okay, I'm going to let you guys go early. So you can grab what you need to grab for the next episode of Scandal. And always catch me Thursdays for a great debate before Scandal so you get the buzz behind the buzz. Saturday we are live in the salons. And this Saturday I have got, Final Four is coming to Atlanta this weekend, y'all. And no, I don't talk sports, but I will be talking sports this weekend. I am bringing you the Final Four fanatics. I have pulled the absolute Final Four fanatics from my timeline, and we are coming to you live from salon to salon, from Atlanta and beyond this weekend. The show is normally called It's My Hair, What Do You Care? But this weekend we are talking sports with the Final Four fanatics, our very own Final Four fanatics. That's a lot of buzz. That's a lot of buzz behind the buzz, but that's where you get when you spread the buzz at DryerBuzz.com. Make sure you add us to your favorites. Come tweet with me on Twitter. Follow me and become my friend on Facebook. And never miss a minute of the buzz. I thank you guys so much for joining us and sharing with us. And this is the podcast, The Great Debates Before Scandal. And come back with us on Saturday. We're live from the salons. Everybody, please spread the buzz. Have a wonderful week, and we'll catch you Saturday. Spread the buzz.
What up, this is Ludacris, and you know I'm disturbing the peace at DryerBuzz.com.
Hey, y'all, this is your girl Monique, and you just got the buzz with DryerBuzz.com.
Atlanta, you just got the buzz behind the buzz with Tyler Perry. This is Dallas Austin, Atlanta. Spread the buzz.
Are you a Buzz Club member? With DryerBuzz.com, syndication comes with buzz. Insert your business news in our daily buzz to take advantage of instant, repeat, and ongoing traffic. As a Buzz Club member, become consumers' choice, keeping your brand and news in front of our daily readers and live real-time audience. Be seen, heard, and get found more often as we continue to drive traffic to your business, service, and products. Membership comes with buzz. Join today. Visit DryerBuzz.com.